if you could talk to me a little bit about how you see women entrepreneurs and female entrepreneurs, and what disadvantages we may have or advantages we may have, particularly in the area of raising funding.
First of all, women have a lot of advantages. That they're a lot more sensible than men are. They're a lot more caring than men often are. They lack the arrogance. They're down to earth. Right?
Yes.
So those are big advantages.
Yes.
Now the same advantages in the tech world can be a disadvantage, because if you look at the stereotypical person that where VCs in Silicon Valley fund, it's a Stanford dropout.
Yes.
And it's not only a Stanford dropout, it's a young Stanford dropout,
Yes.
male Stanford dropout,
Yes.
typically a white guy.
Yes.
Right? That's the stereotype. And
Yes.
VCs talk about pattern recognition. They show off about how smart they are at being able to see someone. They see this person and they know that he's going to make it big.
Yes.
What they typically do is that first they look at the characteristic young white boy, and then they look at arrogance level.
Yes.
If the person talks about how they're going to change the world, and they want a $50 million valuation for their startup, I'm exaggerating a little bit over here.
Yes. No.
Then there must be a great entrepreneur. They'll be the next Mark Zuckerberg.
Okay.
But look at the results. I mean, the vast majority of venture capital investments have failed.
Yes.
This industry is in serious trouble
Yes.
because they've outsmarted themselves over here.
Right.
If they had focused on looking at more modest people, particularly women,
Yes.
who are sensible, who have experience,
Yes.
who have brought up families, who manage finances,
Yes.
I'll bet that the success rate would be a lot higher.
Okay.
You wouldn't have the home runs, you wouldn't have the multi-billion-dollar home runs.
Okay.
But if you have a company that's worth $30 or $40 million that you put $100,000 into, what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's what the problem. That's why I'm so critical about the venture capital system, because the obsession with these massive home runs,
Yes.
and then encouraging kids to drop out of school,
Yes.
and then the stereotypes and this pattern recognition.
Yes. And do you think that there is a solution to this?
The
That
solution
you
to this
can
is that
see?
women have to help themselves. I mean, now there's a second part of it. If you look at Indians in Silicon Valley, for example,
Yes.
30 years ago there were no Indian-funded companies. Now 15.5%, 1 out of 7 startups have an Indian CEO or a CTO.
Very successful.
How did that happen?
Yeah.
Despite the fact these people were 6% of the Silicon Valley working population in 2000,
Yes.
they achieved extraordinary success.
Yes.
The way they did it was by helping each other, by mentoring each other,
Yes.
by encouraging each other.
And I know the organisation ties very
Well,
strong.
Thai was very relevant, 10, 15, 20 years ago. It's become less relevant right now because Indians don't need Thai anymore.
Yes.
They sort of,
Which
they
is
become,
great.
yeah, they become part of the ecosystem in Silicon Valley.
Yes.
But the lesson for women is that by pulling each other up,
Yes.
one woman achieves some success, she pulls up another 2 women behind her.
Yes.
They started doing that. I have zero doubt that you would have a major impact here. And we'd start seeing many successful women entrepreneurs.
Fantastic.
Right.
And if we're generalising, generally that's what women easily do, is support each other and
But
help
they
each
haven't
other.
been doing it in the tech world. You have not had.
No,
I mean, there are
it's
some
true.
groups. I've got to give full credit to to Astia, Anita Borg,
Yes.
Women's 2.0, and
Yes.
there are a whole bunch of groups run by
Yes.
good people who have their heart in the right place. But these are new.
Right.
You didn't have this 5 years ago. No,
Right.
not that I know of, at least.
Right.
So you need that on a much larger scale.
Okay.
Women are 50% of the population.
Yes.
Well, we need them to scale up by an order of magnitude, and then get more aggressive about helping women behind them.
Okay.
And that'll make the difference. There is hope.
And so you think those particular organisations should scale up, or we should have more of those organisations?
I would do more of them. You don't have to have one. I mean, there's no one formula that works. You need to have, because the population of women is very diverse.
Yes.
You have black women, you have white women,
Yes.
you have Muslim women, you have
Yes.
Christian women,
Yes.
That's one dimension. Then
Yes.
you have people from Georgia, you have women from New York. Everyone is different. Right?
Yes.
And then you have women who have a background in engineering. You have women who have a background in science.
Yes.
Women who have a background in business or in English.
Yes.
In liberal arts.
Yes.
There's no reason why any of them can't be successful. So you can't have one recipe and one way of doing things. You need to have diversity in solutions as much as you have diversity in people.
And something that worries me is about the segregation that can happen. I see it on the social networks, the LinkedIn groups, like the big venture capital groups. Any posting about women is often just totally ignored. And yet, in Women 2.0 or Astia or the next women, obviously, that's where all the women are congregating. And my concern is that in a way, we could become segregated, and I don't think that's...
I don't think it becomes segregated. Right now,
okay.
the challenge is to have more successes.
Okay.
Let's say, that was the same thing was said about the Indians in the old days, because the Indian networks were more Indian. Now you go to Indian network. First of all, it's not even Thai anymore. Thai is irrelevant. Indians have basically started going to standard networking events. So whatever they hold, everyone comes to them. So they're basically merged into the system. First you achieve success, and then you integrate. That's the model that's worked for the group I've been researching.
Well, that's a great role model to follow.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Absolutely.